I would like to call to order this meeting of the Finance Personnel Committee for Tuesday, May 13th. Amy, if you would, read the roll, please.
Alderperson Pere.
Here.
Alderperson Gantz.
Here.
Alderperson Quigley.
Here.
Alderperson Kundinger.
Here.
And Mayor Boyd is excused.
Thank you. First item on the agenda, approval of minutes, election of the vice chair for the Finance Personnel Committee. Since I'm sitting here, you might know that I'm currently serving in that role. But if anybody else is interested in the job, we're open to nominations. So you can nominate yourself or somebody else if you'd like to be the vice chair for the next year.
Who wants it?
Keep
Pamela, you want it? All right. Do you want me to nominate you, Pamela?
No.
That's what I heard.
Amy, don't you want it?
I mean, we can't deliberate on this all day.
Yeah.
So, fine.
Keep it John until he leaves.
All right, I'll do it. So nominate.
Okay,
you
I'll
do it?
nominate Amy.
All right.
So Alderperson Kundinger, which is good. Anybody else want to nominate themselves or someone else? And again, I could put my name in, but I'm going to respectfully
Yeah.
bow out. And if we don't have any other nominations, I'll close the nominations. And all those in favor of Amy as the vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Oh,
those
the
opposed?
default win feels so good. Yeah.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next is approval of minutes from the April 8th of
Technically, don't we
2025.
have a new chair for this one?
No.
After this meeting.
Okay.
Jeez, come on.
Yeah.
We did it at Plan Commission that way last year, so I was wanted to make sure.
Okay, and I remembered it differently because when we did the.
We have
trans-
not opened the meeting, Dan.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Put you on the spot.
Point of order, yes.
Come on, Amy, do it.
If it's fair, I prepared for the meeting, so I would kind of like my
Go.
last licks. Approval of minutes from the April 8th, 2025 meeting of Finance Personnel. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. All those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. And those opposed? Thank you. Next is public comment on matters not on the agenda. Any comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Finance and Personnel Committee. I don't see anybody here in the chamber other than our wonderful staff. Online, if there's anybody that would like to address the meeting, if you could just address yourself or introduce your name. And for the second time, anybody that has comment for matters not on the agenda. And the third and final time. All right, thank you very much. Next up is an informational update on the first floor remodel project. Who gets this one first? Go ahead, Pam.
I'll take the lead. As noted, this is just informational, so we're not looking for any votes on this or approvals. At this point, we're just laying the groundwork to let you know that as we previously budgeted for within the 2025 budget, we had in our capital $300,000 for a first floor remodel. We are already doing estimates and getting the drawings. We got Bernard Schober as our architect putting all the drawings together, and it's currently coming in over that. And so we wanted to kind of lay the groundwork to let you know that we are expecting it to be over. Included within that, there have been a few additional items that we've added. We did have the ADA audit that we had done, so we have some items that we had to improve due to that. We also have a security component to that. So the security team of the city is one of the many teams that we have here. They have highlighted the need for some changes on the first floor, and they thought that if we are doing all these other remodel changes, this would probably be the time to implement those changes on the first floor. I was hoping that the chief was going to be on here to kind of add to that, but as you can see in the memo, they've just, it's nice to have the security area where you're not face-to-face directly with the public, having that protective, anything, as the chief would say, that could save 10, 20, 30 seconds from something happening, that should hopefully add that time for them to get down the hallway and get to us to be able to help. So we're looking for it on the first floor, and this is kind of setting the guidelines for what we're going to look to do for other buildings throughout the city as we're looking to remodel those areas. What kind of security things do we want to put in place? So we have within there, we'd be looking at currently 2 counters with like the bank teller kind of windows that you'd be able to slide stuff in, and it would be, we wouldn't have that swinging door where you can just walk around and walk into our area. There would be a closed, secure door. So those are some things we are looking to add to the drawings for it. Now, we will give you the option. So when we do get the pricing back in, we'll let you decide whether or not it's worth that cost. But that is something we wanted to at least include in this on the first go-around. Another item that we had also added was a mother's room. It is something we've realized, even just having our auditors in here. We've got an auditor who was looking to have a place to go pump, and we didn't have anything set up at the city. So if we are remodeling, we thought we could use an area from where we're looking to do storage. It's currently actually Jenny's office area that we're kind of moving everything around. We'd add that as that optional area where that would be the primary use of that room, but it also could be used for taking private phone calls or stepping out during your break or lunchtime if you wanted to get away from your current desk area. We don't have a very good lunch area on the first floor. So we were looking to kind of remodel that area a little bit too. So that is all included within this remodel. So we just wanted to lay the groundwork to let you know it's going to come in over. There are other items that I'm going to send out the bonding here shortly, get everybody kind of review that. There are things that we planned on bonding for this year that we won't. So I think overall, we're still going to be within or less than the amount we were planning on doing this year. So any questions on reading through the memo or looking at the drawings that you want to go over now? It will come back once we have all the bids, and we'll let you review and make decisions at that time. But, or anything else to add, Dan?
Just to clarify for anyone who would listen, these are additions or just they're costing more from the original plan?
I got an estimate when we first put this together for the budget, so I'm going to say that a lot of the additional costs are due to the changes we have made. I don't know, I mean, some of it may end up, the final number is probably going to be also due to additional changes with costs.
Yep.
But the current costs are coming in over because of the additional things we've added.
Yep. And those all sound really logical to,
Yes.
to incorporate. Just wanted the clarification on that.
It is from additions, not just costs are higher than we originally anticipated. Correct.
Thank you. Kind of along those lines, has there been a remodel of the first floor since this building opened, or is this the first time in forever?
No, Scott? I'll let Scott take that.
Thank you.
He's the old guy here.
He's that
Say
old.
senior.
Oops.
Really, the only remodel that's occurred downstairs is the cubicle areas for staff. They've done a few different things there, but the major offices that we're talking about in the corporation, this is the really first major overhaul on the first floor that we're talking about right now.
Okay, thank you.
And one add, just to bring us back to kind of the original need, our staff is growing, and that is why we had to pursue this project in a timely manner, because we need space for our new team members. And as the design moved forward, some of these additional scope things, they are additional things, they just make a lot of sense to pursue when the contractor is mobilized, and we have the funding in CIP, so we're aware of the cost increase. We wanted you to be aware, and we also bid it out on that a la carte basis so that we can make decisions as prices come in.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Do
Pam.
we know when we'll receive the other bids?
The intent right now is, the consultant's finishing up the design. It'll go out to bid and advertise the bid probably in the next few weeks. And most likely, the way the bids come in, it'll probably be the July meeting. It'll come before finance and then the council at the earliest.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, thank you for the information. Appreciate the updates. We're going to move ahead. Item number 6, consideration and possible action on award of contract 25-16 Interstate Highway 41 city sign replacement. Somebody got a...
Getting there.
Okay. Didn't mean to rush you.
Have my head turned. All right. So the item in front of you tonight is a I guess you say the next step in our process for the Interstate 41 highway sign replacement. If you remember back in October and November of last year, the council, actually during the budget session, the budget approval meeting also approved I guess you say selected design for the new sign. And as a result, earlier this year, staff went out to put out bids for that replacement cost. Initial cost estimates were around $115,000 to be funded via TID. The estimates came in, as you can see on the screen in front of you, as well as in your packet. The Elevate 97, who was actually the designer of the actual sign, also came in as the low bid at $101,555. So with that, staff is recommending approval of that contract to Elevate 97, subject to those that amount and paid via funded of TID 15.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the sign issue? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alderperson Pirock, seconded by Gantz. You got that already faster than I said it. Okay. I'm used to doing a different committee, which means a whole different set of names. And so we have a motion and a second. Any questions or any further discussion? And then if we approve it, this would go ahead to the council. So this is not the final look. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Goes to council. All right. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, consideration and possible action on the purchase of a new chipper for the Parks Department with funding to be included in the 2025 borrowing. Go ahead, Marty.
Well, I'm just here for questions.
Okay. Does anybody have questions or thoughts or ideas? How about I'll start with a motion to approve this as suggested, and then we can open it up for
I'll
conversation.
second.
And a second by Pamela Gantz. All right. Anybody got questions or thoughts for Marty?
You want to just explain it a little bit, please?
Sure. Our forestry division uses a chipper extensively throughout the course of the year. They purchased one back in 2019. Starting right away in 2020, we started taking it back under warranty work due to a problem. What would happen, it would run for a while and then an error code would occur. The error code would basically ramp the RPMs down to nothing more than a small idle, rendering the chipper worthless. Since 2020, we have had the chipper back in at least that we have documented 10 different times for essentially the same problem, all of which the manufacturer, the representative, as well as the engine manufacturer have basically said, we're still working on it, trying to fix it.
It goes to council.
But they've had 10 times to fix it, and we need a chipper. So that's why we're coming now. Our maintenance supervisor also feels we're at a point where we need to kind of cut bait. We can't wait for them to fix something that they have had 10 times to try to fix. So staff said enough's enough. So unfortunately, it's not budgeted for. So that's why it's here.
How much does it cost every time they have to repair it?
Well, right now, it has not cost us much of anything, simply because it's still under considered warranty. But the problem we have is that it's not fixed.
Right.
Well, and it costs downtime. So if it's not available.
Yeah. So we've been borrowing the street chippers, but we can't use those all the time. And in the memo, we explained too, their chippers are rigged a little bit differently than our use, and they need them too.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify for anybody listening, as I understand it, the plan is to continue working on the existing one, and if they do solve the problem or figure out whatever it is, then at that time you would evaluate whether to either sell it or use it somewhere else in the city?
Yeah, I think it gives the city some options. I mean, if they are able to fix it, great. I mean, we can look at maybe selling it and getting a very, good payback on what we bought a new one for. Maybe it's worth holding on to, or maybe the street department has one that's failing, and I think our first main goal is to get it fixed. Right now, for lack of better terms, right now it's worthless.
Okay, thanks for that information. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
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 And those opposed? And that motion carries. We're getting a new wood chipper. Well, we're going to council to ask for a wood chipper now. We're that much closer. Item 8, consideration and possible action on proposed development agreement terms with Phoenix of De Pere LLC for a 168-unit multifamily development located on the north side of Employers Boulevard, and the parcel numbers are included there. Dan, is this you?
I'm just here for questions like Marty.
Okay. Can you give us some broad strokes or tell us what we're looking at, please?
Yeah, all right. So in front of you tonight is a request, what was previously in front of you as Preserve Development LLC. So back in 2024, you saw a request that came in for the site north of the Humana Employer Boulevard entrance. There was a site there in which the proposal talked about a mixed ownership structure, which had a condominium slash apartment rental project as well as townhomes. Following that process, the developer sharpening their pencil, found that the project just wasn't as feasible as they originally thought, including because there is significant infrastructure investments that either have to be borne by them or the city as part of an agreement. When all that is taken into consideration, the project, as well as the complications of trying to run a condo project and a multifamily project in the same building, became a challenge, and it became more of a headache more so than anything. So the developer has come back to the table and talked about, well, what can we do that provides more housing to the city as well as potentially an added value of workforce housing to the city, and that's what's in front of us here tonight. So with that, I'll talk about this as kind of a larger project, but really it's about the first 2 phases of a 4-phase project. And so the location map you see is at as I mentioned, the Humana campus north of Employer Boulevard. Phase 1 is to build 2 42-unit buildings. Phase 2 is to build 2 more 42-unit buildings, and that would be part of this development agreement. That would also include a clubhouse at the end of Phase 2. And then also Phase 3 and 4, again, separate agreement, if they so choose to come back with it, would be for, again, a similar 4 more 42-unit buildings. So I guess you'd say sort of the replication. Where the difference is, and I'll kind of walk through that, is typically you see, I guess you'd say, what Quayce and I sort of refer to as the Green Bay box of apartments, where you see kind of the 14-unit, 16-unit kind of buildings that are sort of replicated. This is a little bit different than that, because it's not 2 stories, it's 3 stories. It offers a little bit more density, and it provides a few more amenities like a clubhouse component to it. So on the screen in front of you, you see the preliminary layout. Staff is awaiting a revised concept layout. They're working through some underground utilities that they weren't aware of where they're at. But we wanted to bring this in front of you so that we didn't end up having to wait an entire month in case they came back with a concept plan this week. So because obviously Wisconsin's building cycle is only so long, and we want to continue this process, especially because it does offer a potential solution to some of our housing crisis that we're facing in the region. So with that, I'll show you, this is the phase map. I put it in your packet as well. The red being, I guess you would say, what would be considered the first phase, which would include the buildings as well as the right-of-way, long stretch of road. There would also be a easement component to that one, but I didn't include that one in phase 1 because that's a private component versus a public component of an infrastructure. Stormwater pond is that little blob to the north, I guess you would say, that would be identified as outside of the wetland area that can actually be used as stormwater. Phase 2 being that orange, and then phases 3 and 4 being highlighted in that yellow. Phases 3 and 4 could also contain townhome units components that would be up towards that cul-de-sac bulb, which is their plan, but it's just not shown on this map here. Again, we're only focused on those first 4 buildings. Representative samples that relatively meet our code. I just want to kind of put those in front of you. And again, just sort of I guess you'd say the modern layout that you would see. Anything that moves forward would be subject to Plan Commission approval, or I should say our zoning code approval, and any design exceptions are granted from the Plan Commission. So I just want to make that point as well. Now's when I get nerdy. So let me know if your eyes are glazing over and you want me to shut up, or we can keep going here. So we took a look and worked with our assessor to figure out, based off of their net operating income, what would the future value of the building be. And when all that is said and done, the future value of those 4 buildings is about $26 million, based off of their proposed net operating income. And that's the model that we use to do our assessments. They came in at a little bit lower from an initial standpoint, but again, we use that income-based approach. So when you take that into consideration, you're looking at about $400,000 in what we anticipate would be the base value. And the reason why I say that is because it's currently multiple parcels right now and parts of parcels. It's a little bit hard to figure out what that base value is until we have a CSM that we can run by our assessor. So we're anticipating about $25.6 million worth of increment generation, increment value generation. So that's a very good number for the number of units also being added here. And that number, that net operating income number, we're using a 6.75% cap rate. The assessor actually recommended using 6 to 6.25, which would have even raised that higher. But that would have put this project outside of anybody else around here. So the 6.75 brought us closer to the value per unit of like the Tim Holbrook homes on Garriman Drive and a couple others. So this is in line with other projects per unit basis. So we did tamp it back a little bit, knowing the fact that workforce housing isn't going to get you the highest value, so we wanted to bring it back to some sort of those realities. And again, it is a projection at this time because it is based off of their performance. We went through.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you say workforce housing,
I'm going to get to that.
You're going to tell me how much that means? Okay.
So, in our review process, we do an in-depth review of anytime we have an income generating project, we do more than just what if it would be a business asking for it to help grow their business. Income generation project is because the building is the project that is making money. So as a result, we do a full 3-level analysis of return on equity, return on cost or yield cost, and internal rate of return. We did this when we did the Shopko project, we've done this when we've done others, and we did this when they came back here the last time. But our assumptions are, residential rent growth assumptions are 2% annually, a sale value cap rate. The reason why that's there is our internal rate of return is a calculation of the time value of money after an investment period. And in this case, normally we would do a 10-year investment period. This one's 14 because it's taking 4 years to get all buildings up to speed. We have a property appreciation rate of annual over that investment period, as well as over the TID life of 2%, and an annual property tax rate appreciation of actually -2%. It's actually a little bit conservative, but again, as we look at the overall average over the life of the TID, we're probably closer to that 2 to 3% based off of where fluctuations are, referendums and all those components. So that went into our analysis, and I'm not going to show you all those spreadsheets because that would really bore you. So in the pro forma review, we took also look at their project equity, their permanent financing, what they're requesting from an incentive standpoint, upfront cash grant, as well as a public infrastructure grant. And really what it came down to is when you include all those components, their internal rate of return is 12.2%, I would say between 12 and 13%. That is what I would classify as sort of that lower end of that market expectation for a developer to take on. So they are taking this on knowing the fact that what we can support via the TID will get them to 12%. Again, it's sort of at that lower end of that market. A developer who's coming in and not doing market rate and increasing rates and rents probably could be making a lot higher than this one. So again, doing workforce housing, and in this case, the definition is 80%. Those making 80% of the area median income would qualify. And for a 1-bedroom, that's about $1,400 a month. I know that still seems loud, but it's $1,400 a month per WIDA rates. 2-bedroom, it's in the packet here. Sorry, it's on page I think 7 of my packet. But in general, it would meet WIDA rates for that 80% threshold. We don't control that. That is put out annually by WIDA. And so anybody applying to WIDA grants, they're also applying to using these same thresholds and standards. Anytime we go lower than that, down to the 60% threshold, there drops the rent rates as well again. So in this case, almost all of their units are meeting those WIDA thresholds out of their pro forma, but we do have some protections later in here that in case they decide to exceed those thresholds, we would reserve some, and I'll get to that here shortly. So in this case, rate of return and rate on cost are again within that lower end of market averages. We also are required to do that but-for or stress test. And so I did the whole analysis again, but removed all of our financing out of it, all of our assistance, and found that the project has an internal rate of return of 8%. No developer is going to take that on at 8%. So at this point, it does meet that but-for test. Same thing with return on equity. If we only took away the upfront components and just kept the pay-go and kept those components, it's still below if we took all that out. So with that one, the project does meet the but-for test for providing incentives. So we have developer obligations. I'm not going to go through all of these components. They're all in your packet. If you have any questions about what the developer's obligations are, we do have deadlines in here for when the buildings are to come online, when they are to start. They are having to submit the site plan, submit a certified survey map so that we can amend TID 15 boundary. They will also, have to meet certain performance generations from an income generation standpoint. That's in your packet. They'll have to provide parkings that meet the minimum for our code. They'll have to also secure a second mortgage or however they want to secure a municipal revenue obligation, and I'll get to that here shortly. And then sidewalks and trails, anything that is outside of the right-of-way that they want has to be done on their end. They have to perform the water infrastructure analysis. There's a water line running right through where buildings 1 and 2 are. That has to be relocated. It will eventually come to the city to help work and assist with that, and that's part of our incentive. They have to dedicate the remainder portion of Employer Boulevard either now or with phase 2 of the preserved bungalows. So the single-family homes that are under construction, phase 2 is set to come next year. At some point, the remainder of Employer Boulevard has to be dedicated to us. So same standards that apply there. And then their workforce housing component. So 20% of the units must be reserved for households with incomes that do not exceed 80% of the Brown County median income. And I have that packet or that documentation in your packet. So if you want to see what that incomes are based off of household size, all the way up to 8-person households, you can see that. And then the second page of that packet does show the rent limits on that as well. So we're showing 8 units in each one of those buildings would be reserved for those of workforce housing that meet that qualify. The protections that we have in that are under Exhibit F, I believe, in your packet. Those are subject to city attorney and negotiations because once the developers, and the city attorney will hash out those components. It's our first real attempt at doing affordable housing in-house, meaning we are self-funding it ourselves and we are not relying on an outside agency to do it. Reason for that, not many of our projects qualify for state and federal resources. So our first one that we are going on our own, and so this is our first sort of threshold to that component. So our obligations are street and stormwater infrastructure up to that 1.56 million. Ultimately, if it comes more than that, once we do bids, we'll have to then come back to the negotiating board of either your cash grant is reduced, your pay-go is reduced, because this project is scraping the TID pretty clean on its, I guess you would say, its remainder at the end of the life of the TID. There's benefits to that. Again, providing affordable housing and 168 units new to the city are value to us. We have to amend TID 15 to include a newly defined parcel boundary. So they will take up some of what is currently the Humana parking lot, or what's that sea of parking that is no longer as utilized. They'll take up some of that. And then our developer incentives with our $600,000 upfront project cost reimbursement to the developer, as well as annual pay-go MRO. And what an MRO is, a municipal revenue obligation, we set ourselves a schedule that almost acts as an amortization schedule to the developer so that they can take that as a municipal revenue obligation to a bank, secure a second mortgage that is now backed by the municipality, and we don't have to collateralize a loan on their part. So it helps protect us and gets us out of a position that we don't want to be in. So that was a lot of nerdiness. I apologize, but I'm available for questions. And there's some of the other exhibits if you want to see them.
Well done. I appreciate the nerdiness because your willingness to take it on means we can step back a little bit and we have to trust you. Any questions for Dan?
I'm ecstatic about this project. I'm also, I feel like we should say it just to have it on record that a family of 4 is nearly $79,000 to qualify. That's eye-opening. So I'm really glad we're doing this. Really glad.
Yeah, so if you take the 74 and take that divided by 0.8,
Right.
that'll get you our county median income. And so you're looking at county median income of probably nearly mid-90s of a county median income for a family of 4. So
And most people aren't getting anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the work that went into this.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thanks very much for the information. Do we have a motion?
No, not yet.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we accept the terms as presented here, and then this will also go to council, is that right?
Yeah, I would always recommend when we do these is also subject to city attorney final review and drafting to make minor changes if necessary. Substantial changes would come back here.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, can you comment on the timing of when this might go to council?
Yeah, the intention is to get this to council as soon as possible because the developer wants to be breaking ground later this year. And so the attorney has reviewed all the base terms. And so then it's working with Joanne and our staff to finalize or get them a draft agreement. They gave us one previously, but under our new city attorney, we'd like to structure it and in a way that can be replicated for the next phase. And so we're trying to, I guess you'd say, put our best foot forward now so that we're not reinventing the wheel in a few years. So I would say in the next month, 2 months, you probably see something.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed?
No one seconded it.
Do we have a
Oh,
second?
I'm sorry,
motion?
I'm
I'll
sorry.
second.
I got ahead of myself.
Right.
Alderperson Gantz with the second. So we're going to do that again. We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions or comments, just to make sure I'm not rushing the process too much here. All right, once again, if we could vote on the motion, please. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Thank you, thank you. That motion carries. Number 9, consideration and possible action for proposed purchase sale agreement option terms with Ehlinger. Am I saying that right? Okay. Ehlinger Properties LLC for a 4.3 acre portion with parcel WD L492B5 for future business relocation and expansion.
That's Georgia Pacific there, right? Yeah, Green Bay Packaging. Yeah. I'll take this one.
Okay.
So, Development Services, we've been meeting with John Ehlinger and his group, pretty much Quality Insulators. They are located, I want to preference that they are currently located in the village of Schwabenau. Right now, we did not reach out to them. They reached out to us. They were looking for space to expand in the village of Schwabenau, and they did not have any suitable land for them. So they reached out to us to see what we had in our business parks. So Dan and I, we've been working with them probably a little over 6 months now, looking for some sites. So we've been showing them some sites. So we kind of settled on one here on American Drive here. You see it's right across my Green Bay Packaging there. This site is roughly about 9 acres. So we were working with another tenant on the southern portion as well. So we were kind of looking at, splitting up the parcel here as well for Quality Insulators. Here's just a small example of their site plan here, produced by Bayland Buildings. So the portion that they're looking at is 4.3 acres, and they're looking to build roughly about 40,000 square feet here, would give us a value of roughly about $3.1 million. And if you look at, they are looking to do a 3-year planning option on this, but since we've been working with them for a little over 6 months, we decided, and we talked to them about doing a 30-month option instead of 6 months. It's already been there. We've been working on for that. And one of the things, if you notice that it calls for $40,000 an acre for the sale price. I know we have recently, council recently increased that to 60,000 acre last fall. But we were working with them already before, so they've kind of been grandfathered in at the $40,000 per acre route. So that's why you see that number in there as well too, for a sale price of roughly about $172,000 for this site. So when you're looking at that, they're looking to continue this with a 30-month option to do their planning and due diligence on there. Option fee of roughly $2,100 annually. So we've been working with them. You still see the option, all the purchase specifications, standard for what we've been looking at with that. And I don't know if you have any other questions or anything for them, but.
No, I think
Nope.
they wish they could be building now. We will say that. Current market economies, as well as some other things, have sort of put a little brakes on some of their plans. And so they actually started leasing out another warehouse space just to be able to, I guess you'd say, advanced purchase some certain things and do some other stuff. So current market economies, but their intention is to build as soon as they possibly can.
30 months max, but we are definitely working with them to get shovels on the ground sooner. So.
Fantastic.
maybe we also should add on, when anybody enters into an option to purchase with us, typically there aren't any incentives associated with that one, because part of the incentive is we're holding land for you. Now, that being said, is they do have the right to come back and request it if all of a sudden they come back 2 years from now and they run the numbers and there is still a gap for them. So there is a possibility that they could, but at this point, an option, our option is almost like a sale contract, just with a trigger point to it. So they can move forward, or they can potentially come back and request it. It's really up, at that point, it'll be up to the finance personnel to engage in that discussion.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Excellent stuff. A motion, anyone?
I'll make a motion. Oh, God.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Alderperson Gant, second by Alderperson P-Rock. All those in favor of, what are we doing here? Moving ahead with the sale agreement with the terms, apologies. Please say aye. Aye. And those opposed? This is what happens when you put a new guy in charge. Okay. Thank you very much for your work on those projects. Number 10, consideration and possible action for environmental services for the 100 block of South Broadway Street, BRRTS site investigation.
Yeah, so I'll take this one as well, too. So we have been working on the 100 block of South Broadway, doing some environmental cleanup there. We've, in the past, we've contracted with Cedar Corporation to do environmental cleanup, environmental testing there at the site. This is in continuation with the Wisconsin DNR. They are requesting 2 cross-section diagrams for this to kind of close out the project here. So Cedar Corp has reached out to us to request a small contract to put that together for roughly $2,500 for them to complete the drawings for to satisfy the DNR requirements.
Okay. Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Okay, any discussion, any questions about this item? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries.
You said that really quickly, Doug.
Too quickly? Number 11, investment summary. We have, part of the packet is the city's cash and investments for information and review. I think normally the mayor would just that we accept this information and put it on file. Pam, do you have anything you want to add or clarify with? It's all good?
Nope, our investments are still making money, so we're still doing all right.
Good job.
Very good. All right, duly noted. So again, we will put that information on file. Do I need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Receive and place on file. Motion
Okay,
to receive and place.
motion to receive and place on file. And I will make that motion, and I need a second.
I'll second.
Person Gantz. Any discussion or questions before we go ahead with that one? All those in favor say aye.
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 And those opposed? Very good. That motion passes, and we go to number 12, future agenda items. Anything for the upcoming agendas for personnel finance? Not hearing any. All right. Item 13, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, you have to stay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.